Johann,
Okay,
on social isolation. So the
okay.
stage is yours.
Thank you very much. And hello again. So, following PHE platform, we have two kinds of social isolation. First, a feeling of rejection in social situations. Persons feel is unwanted, different, or inferior. Or the other part, which is a little bit more tricky, you feel separated, you have a feeling of nothingness, and social situations trigger a feeling of isolation. So the case I want to start with is a 30-year-old, beautiful, nice woman with an academic background. Her mother was Thai. This is part of her beauty from outside, but also she's inside very beautiful. She is very active in her social life. She has many groups of friends. That's the funny thing. I was on one of her birthdays, so she had groups of friends from her school, from her high school, from university, from dancing, from surfing. She's a surfing doctor also. And now she is a young mother, so also young mothers. And she is really loved by the people because of her personality. Even she has some edges. So her cognitive clarity scan, it gave high scores in social sacrifice. I think it's connected with having just a very young, beautiful baby. Then, as we just talked about it, unrelenting standards like anything. Failure. So can I make the next test in my career and so on? And that was surprising, social isolation. Social isolation. So we go to the history. She was born in Germany, and when she was about 5 to 6 years, the family moved to Austria in a very rural area. And there she was, of course, an outsider because Austrians, she was from another country, and Austrians, they don't like pifkes, as we say, because Germans, they're the pifkes, they're very loud, they know everything better, and they talk a lot, which is actually true if you're in Austria. And she looked different. So her classmates, they had names for her, which now it would be politically incorrect to talk about it. And of course, it had some input. So this was the one side. The other side was her family had a very different lifestyle from the Austrian communities. For example, they have been vegetarians and so on. And in the 90s, you go to an Austrian restaurant up country and say you're vegetarian. They think you are from a completely other country. And it happened that her family had some little entitlement also. They looked a little bit down to this Austrian behavior. So this have been the two legs of the experience. The early experience of rejection, but also a part of emotional detachment as part of her family identity. Even she integrated very well in school and in university. These patterns, and it's also surprising me in hearing it from her, continued to adulthood in special situations where all the time these things came back. And it created a feeling of being disconnected even while being part of social groups. I think that's just the simple case I wanted to tell here, that social isolation can be of different sources. Her most important pattern is unrelenting standards, and we talked about this. I know her very well, I have to tell. So as here from time to time, we talk about it. And in her case, because she has a high emotional intelligence, it seems to be enough just naming the pattern and making it visible, understanding it. And when you have the spotlight and the pattern just it starts to disappear by itself. Of course, you need some consequence in doing it. So I made this rather quickly because I like to close with a personal experience, which is actually not so good for me in the moment, but it also connected to this theme. So 5 weeks ago, my girlfriend, we have been together for 10 years, suddenly moved out before the breakfast in 5 minutes without giving any reasons. And today it's a coincidence. Today she came back to collect her furniture and her belongings and so on. Means this last weeks have been a little bit tough, I would say, and really put me in a tiring situation because I still like her. So what is the context here? The context is when I did the scan, I had two patterns moderately elevated. It was social isolation and entitlement. And in my eyes, they both belong together. Where also this lady, she had social isolation and unrelenting standards, which also in my eyes go together because the one saves her from the other. So unrelenting standards made her feel more safe in her feeling to go to society. So in my situation is I feel different in groups. I live in Bavaria, so just to have a picture, have these Bavarian beer festivals. I feel a little bit uncomfortable in these situations, just based on small talks. And I explained it because I'm a little bit different. I'm a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more higher, and I don't have to follow all rules and so on. So these two patterns, they supported each other. When I did the scan, I had to go back to my childhood and to rediscover a quite painful story, which I did not forget, but it was not so open for me, of social isolation, which went into my teenage years. So I had to look at it. That was the background. So now I have a situation. I'm separated. We live here in a Bavarian village, and I'm alone now in the moment. So in these villages, you have many social networks, very close knit, but they're not for you. They're not for foreigners or for people coming from outside, which just moved in. And in the past, this would have been a nightmare for me. And now I discovered something very, very, very strange, or very good, because in the next days, when she left the house, I went out. I met people which I never would have met before. I made new connections. I had a lot of fun with it. The people had a lot of fun with it. 1 week later, I was on a Bavarian festival at the lakeside, and it was really very good. I met very good people. And it's surprising for me. People like it if they're approached. It's a very new situation, which gives me a lot of strength in this moment. And the starting point for this development for me, it was this cognitive clarity scan, just putting the spotlight again on the pattern and becoming aware of it. And in my experience, I saw it several times, it's just enough to start the change. Of course, you have to work on it. But what I have seen, it diluted already a lot. And I find this absolutely remarkable, that I wanted to say. And I thank you for listening to me in this quite difficult situation. And I also thankful that I had this possibility to go this way with cognitive clarity scan.